So the title of this video is looking at different holes. Now from our last video, we were able to grab this hole and take it apart using these guys. And what we did is we placed them on a long number line and discovered that we could make fractions that look like this. But the other thing that we discovered is that we could make equivalent values for these, like 0.1 or 10%, 0.2 or 20%. And this number line kept going until we were able to represent 10 over 10, which was the giant 1. But now my question became, can I break this hole into even smaller pieces? And of course I could, because if you remember, I told you that 100 of these little pieces made up this big guy. So no longer was my denominator 10, now it became 100, because 100 of these little guys made up this big hole. So what I did is I did the same thing. I placed these little guys on the number line, and then I started creating fractions with them. And what I noticed is that every time I hit one of them, it would represent 1 over 100. And I kept going. Now I'm going to move them apart just for you to see what I'm talking about. The second one was 2 over 100. The third one was 3 over 100. The next one was 4 over 100. Now this number line would take forever for us to get all the way to 100 over 100, which again, here's the giant 1, which would represent this big hole broken down into even smaller pieces. Now I could make equivalent representations of this by doing this: 0.01 for this one, 0.02, 0.03, 0.04, or I could go 1%, 2%, 3%, and so on until I got all the way back to the hole. But then I thought to myself, wait a second, are there other different types of holes? Instead of just using this hole, are there other types? And I did discover that there were. We could have a hole that looked like this, or a hole that looked like this, or a hole that looked like this, or even a hole that looked like this. And then I thought to myself, okay, so can I break these guys down? So I did so by starting with the first one, and I broke this one down and I created a number line just like the ones that you saw before. Now this one was made out of 4 parts, so I knew that my first one was 1 out of 4, 2 out of 4, 3 out of 4, and then finally 4 out of 4. There's my giant 1 again. And of course I could break these down into decimals or percentages, as I wanted to. Remember that this one would always represent the 100%, and then halfway through that point would be 50%. Now if I thought of money, then half of 50% would be 25%. 3/4 of a dollar would be 75%, and I could change these into decimals as well. I could do that with different holes as well. I could do that with this hole. If you notice, this hole is made up of 6 sections, so my denominator would definitely change. Let me erase this and show you. So if I broke this hole down and I would place it along each other like this on a number line, boy, I didn't think these were that hard to take apart, then I could go ahead and write my fractions: 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, 6 over 6, which all of us know is the giant 1. You got it. And I could keep doing that depending on how big or small the hole was. This one has 12 parts, so of course my denominator would be 12. This one has 8 parts, so my denominator would be 8. And I could keep doing this. But then I thought to myself, hey guys, how about if they weren't squares anymore and they look like this trapezoid? Forgive me, hexagon. How about if they look like this hexagon? Can I break this guy down using different shapes? So I grabbed a trapezoid and I thought to myself, how many trapezoids make up the hexagon? And what I noticed is that it took 2 trapezoids to make up the hexagon. I could grab those parts and put them on a number line as well, believe it or not. And I could go like this and say 1/2, 2 over 2, and there's my big giant 1. And I could break it down even into smaller sections. I could use rhombuses, and I could do this. I could go ahead and play around with it and see how many rhombuses make up the hexagon. And I noticed it was 3. So now I could put it on a number line and say, okay, here is my whole. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 would make up my hexagon if I was using rhombuses. I could even go smaller than that, you guys. I could use triangles to make up my hexagon. And what I noticed is that I could get something that looked like this. I could have the triangles make up my hexagon. I could take them apart and check how many hexagons made up, how many triangles made up my hexagon. And what I did is I did my number line again. This was 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and 6 over 6. Remember our giant 1, and that's how I was able to break down different types of whole. Now my question to you is, can you think of some number or some whole that you can break down into smaller pieces, then represent them on a number line like I did? Good luck!